The thing about dying alone is that nobody hears you scream. Sarah Mitchell had thought about that more than once during her 5 years in the cabin. Tonight, with the storm tearing at the pines like something alive and angry, the thought came back hard. She should have turned around an hour ago. The rain hit her face like needles as she stumbled down the muddy trail toward home. Her camera bag weighed heavy on her shoulder, empty of anything worth keeping. No golden eagle. No lynx. Just hours of waiting in the cold for nothing. The river roared somewhere to her left, swollen with runoff. She knew better than to get close, but then she heard it. A cry. High-pitched. Desperate. Sarah stopped, water streaming down her jacket. Probably a raccoon, she told herself. Or a fox. Nothing she needed to risk her neck for. The cry came again. Damn it. She pushed through the undergrowth toward the sound. The river came into view, brown and churning, 30 feet across where it should have been 15. Debris rushed past, branches, trash, what looked like part of somebody's dock. There. Caught in a tangle of roots near the bank. A wolf pup. Sarah's breath caught. The little thing couldn't have been more than 8 weeks old, soaked and shaking, one paw wedged in the twisted wood. Its mouth opened in another cry that the storm nearly swallowed. She looked at the water. Looked at the pup. You've got to be kidding me. But she was already moving, already sliding down the bank. The cold hit her like a fist when she stepped in. The current pulled at her legs, stronger than it looked. She grabbed for the roots, bark cutting into her palms, and inched forward. The pup watched her with eyes that were wrong, too bright, too aware. Silver blue instead of the gold or amber she'd expect. Easy, Sarah breathed, though she didn't know if she was talking to the pup or herself. She reached out. The pup didn't snap or pull away. It just stared at her with those strange eyes as she worked its paw free. The moment it came loose, the roots shifted. Sarah's foot slipped. She went under. The river spun her, filled her mouth, her nose. She kicked hard, broke the surface, gasped. Her hand still gripped the pup's scruff. She couldn't let go. Wouldn't. Her knee hit something solid, a rock. She used it to push toward the bank, fighting the current every inch. Her fingers found mud, then grass. She dragged herself out and lay there, the pup clutched to her chest, both of them shaking. Stupid, she said to the sky. That was so stupid. The pup whimpered against her. Sarah sat up slowly. Everything hurt. The cabin was still a mile away, and the storm wasn't letting up. She pulled off her jacket, wrapped the pup inside despite the cold, and started walking. By the time she reached home, she couldn't feel her fingers. Inside, she kicked the door shut and went straight to the fireplace. The pup stayed quiet as she got the fire going, eerily calm for something that had nearly drowned. She set it down on the rug and went for towels. Let's get you dry. She rubbed the pup down, gentle but firm. It was a female, skinny under the wet fur. No collar. No tags. Out here, that wasn't unusual. Wolves denayed in these mountains. Someone's ranch dog might have gotten mixed up with a pack, or... Sarah stopped. There was a mark on the pup's chest. She'd thought it was just wet fur lying strange, but no. It was a crescent shape, pale against the dark fur. And when the firelight hit it just right, it seemed to glow. She blinked. Looked again. Just fur. Had to be. You're making me see things, she muttered. She heated milk in the microwave, goat's milk from the neighbor's farm, which she kept for her coffee. The pup lapped it up like she was starving, which she probably was. When the bowl was empty, those silver blue eyes fixed on Sarah again. Luna, Sarah said. The name just came to her. That work for you? The pup's tail moved. Once. Sarah made up a bed in a cardboard box near the fireplace, lined it with an old blanket. Luna circled twice and curled up without protest. Within minutes, she was asleep. Sarah should have called animal control. Should have at least called Marcus Webb, her closest neighbor, who knew everything about wildlife in these parts. Instead, she changed into dry clothes, poured herself 2 fingers of whiskey, and sat by the fire. The storm beat against the windows. The fire crackled. Luna's sides rose and fell in steady rhythm. Sarah's eyes grew heavy. She dreamed. In the dream, she was running. Not jogging, running flat out through a forest she knew and didn't know. The ground flew beneath her, but she wasn't tired. She felt strong. Powerful. The air tasted different, full of information: rabbit, 3 hours old, deer, moving north, rain coming. She looked down and saw paws instead of feet. The dream shifted. She was in a den, surrounded by warmth, by bodies, by the scent of pack. Safe. Home. Then pain, sharp and sudden. Water. Cold. Drowning. Hands pulling her out. Human hands. Sarah jerked awake. The fire had burned down to embers. The cabin was dark except for the glow of the stove clock. 3:17 a.m. Silence. Complete silence. No storm. No wind. No creaking of the old cabin settling. Nothing. Sarah's skin prickled. Something was wrong. She sat up slowly, her eyes adjusting to the dimness. Luna was awake. The pup sat in her box, facing Sarah, completely motionless. Those silver-blue eyes caught the last light from the embers and reflected it back, glowing faintly in the dark. She didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stared. The crescent mark on her chest was glowing too. Soft and pale, like foxfire. Sarah's heart kicked against her ribs. Luna? The pup didn't react. Didn't break her stare. The silence pressed down, thick and waiting. Sarah had the sudden, wild thought that if she looked away, something terrible would happen. That those eyes were holding her in place for a reason. She didn't dare move. Outside, so faint she almost missed it, came a sound. A howl. Then another. Then more, layering over each other until the darkness filled with voices. But they were too close. Too many. And they were surrounding the cabin. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 2. Sarah didn't move until the howling stopped. When silence returned, Luna blinked once and curled back into her box like nothing had happened. The glow from her crescent mark faded until Sarah could almost convince herself she'd imagined it. Almost. She sat frozen on the couch until gray light started seeping through the windows. Her body ached from holding still so long. Her mind kept circling back to the same impossible thought: the wolves had been calling to Luna. And Luna had been listening. When dawn finally broke properly, Sarah stood on shaking legs. She needed firewood. Needed to do something normal. Something that made sense. She pulled on her boots, grabbed the canvas carrier, and opened the front door. Then froze. Wolves. Everywhere. They sat in perfect circles around her cabin, 3 rings deep, maybe more. She tried to count but lost track. 50. 70. More than she'd ever seen in one place. They weren't moving. Weren't making a sound. Just sitting there in formation like soldiers waiting for orders. All of them facing her door. Jesus Christ. Sarah slammed the door and backed away. Her heart hammered so hard she could hear it. This wasn't possible. Wolves didn't behave like this. They didn't gather in groups this large. Didn't sit in geometric patterns. Didn't. A whine came from behind her. Luna stood at the edge of the rug, staring at the door. Agitated. Pacing back and forth. Another whine, higher pitched. "Yeah, well, you're staying in here," Sarah said. Her voice shook. She pulled out her phone. No signal, the storm must have knocked something out. She moved to the window, held it up, got one bar. Good enough. She called Marcus. He answered on the fourth ring, voice rough with sleep. Sarah? Sun's barely up. Marcus, there are wolves outside my cabin. A pause. That's not unusual. You know that. No, I mean, she looked out the window again, half hoping she'd imagined it. Still there. There are over 100 of them. Maybe more. They're just sitting there in circles. They've been here since before dawn. 100 wolves. His tone said he didn't believe her. I'm sending you a picture. She took 3 shots through the window, her hands shaking so much the images came out blurry. But clear enough. She sent them. Silence on the other end. Then, holy hell. What is this, Marcus? What's happening? She heard him moving, the creak of his porch boards. Stay inside. Don't go near them. Don't make eye contact. I'm coming over. You said you know what this is. I said stay inside. Marcus. 20 years ago, something like this happened to a trapper named Coleman. Lived about 10 miles north of you. His voice dropped. They found him 3 days later. He was alive, but changed. Kept saying he could hear them in his head. Kept trying to go back to the woods. His wife had him committed. He hung himself in the hospital 2 weeks later. Sarah's mouth went dry. That's not helping. I'm telling you this so you understand. Whatever's happening, it's not normal. It's not natural. And you need to be very, very careful. He hung up. Sarah looked at Luna. The pup had stopped pacing and now sat facing the door again, head cocked. Listening. What did I get us into? Sarah whispered. The morning dragged on. Sarah made coffee she didn't drink. Made toast she couldn't eat. The wolves didn't move. Didn't hunt, didn't wander off, didn't do anything except watch her cabin with a patience that made her skin crawl. She checked on them every half hour. Same formation. Same positions. Like they were carved from stone. Luna grew more agitated as the day wore on. She paced from door to window, whining, scratching at the wood. Sarah tried to calm her with food, but the pup wouldn't eat. Around noon, Sarah made herself look closer at the wolves through her binoculars. That's when she saw him. The alpha sat in the center of the first circle, directly in line with her front door. He was massive, easily twice the size of a normal wolf, with fur so dark it was almost black. And when he turned his head to look at something, she saw his eyes. Silver blue. Exactly like Luna's. Sarah's hands tightened on the binoculars. The alpha's head swung toward her window. Toward her. Their eyes met. The world lurched. Something pressed into her mind, vast and old and utterly alien. Not words. Not thoughts. More like a weight, a presence that filled every empty space in her head. She felt it searching her, reading her, measuring her against something she couldn't understand. Then it withdrew. Sarah stumbled back from the window, gasping. Her head throbbed. When she looked down, her hands were shaking so badly the binoculars clattered to the floor. Luna let out a sharp bark. I know, Sarah breathed. I know. Something's very wrong. Marcus's truck rumbled up the road around 2 o'clock. The wolves didn't react to the noise. Didn't even turn their heads. Sarah opened the door a crack. Don't get out. But Marcus was already climbing down, rifle in hand. He moved slowly, carefully, his eyes on the wolves. They watched him but didn't move. Get inside, Sarah hissed. He made it to the porch, slipped through the door. Sarah locked it behind him. Lord have mercy, Marcus said, looking through the window. He was 70 if he was a day, weathered and lean, with eyes that had seen things most people wouldn't believe. Right now, those eyes were wide. I've never seen anything like this. What do they want? Damned if I know. He glanced at Luna. That the pup you pulled from the river? Yeah. Luna. She have those eyes when you found her? Sarah nodded. Marcus set his rifle by the door and ran a hand over his face. There are stories. Old ones. My grandfather used to tell them, said they came from people who lived here before us. Stories about wolves that weren't just wolves. About pacts and debts and, he shook his head. I thought they were just stories. Well, they're sitting outside my house right now, so maybe you want to reconsider. They watched the wolves until the lights started fading. Marcus made them dinner, canned soup heated on the stove. Sarah couldn't taste it. Luna had gone completely still again, sitting by the door. Waiting. You should come back to my place, Marcus said. Bring the pup. Get away from here. And if they follow? He didn't have an answer for that. Night fell fast in the mountains. Sarah turned on the porch light, but it only made the darkness beyond seem deeper. The wolves were shadows now, barely visible. She went to the bathroom to splash water on her face. Tried to slow her racing heart. When she looked in the mirror, she saw it. A mark on her chest. Faint but visible above the neckline of her shirt. She pulled the fabric down with numb fingers. A crescent. Pale and thin, like a scar that had never been there before. Exactly where Luna's mark was. No, Sarah whispered. No, no, no. She heard Marcus call her name, but his voice seemed far away. She touched the mark. It felt warm. Felt like it belonged there, like it had always been there, waiting. Then the howling started. But this wasn't like last night. This was unified. Perfect. 100 voices rising together in a sound that shouldn't have been possible. Because it sounded like singing. Like words in a language she'd never heard but somehow understood in her bones. Ancient. Ceremonial. A call and a claim and a binding. Sarah stumbled out of the bathroom. Marcus stood frozen by the window, face pale. Luna's head was thrown back, her small voice joining the chorus. And Sarah felt her mouth opening. Felt her throat vibrating with sounds she didn't choose to make. The words came from somewhere deeper than thought, pulled from a place she didn't know existed. She tried to stop. Couldn't. The chanting poured out of her, joining with Luna's, joining with the pack outside. Her body wasn't her own. Her voice wasn't her own. The crescent mark on her chest burned like fire. Marcus grabbed her shoulders. Sarah. Stop. You have to stop. But she couldn't. The words kept coming, rising and falling in rhythm with the howls outside. And somewhere in the terrible beauty of that sound, she understood. They weren't just calling to her. They were claiming her. The ritual had already begun. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 3. Sarah woke to silence and pain. She was sprawled on the living room floor, one arm twisted under her body. Her throat felt like she'd swallowed broken glass. Morning light streamed through the windows, too bright, too sharp. Everything hurt. She pushed herself up slowly. Looked around. The cabin was empty except for Luna, who sat by the cold fireplace watching her with those unsettling eyes. Marcus? Her voice came out as a croak. She stood on wobbly legs and went to the window. The wolves were gone. All of them. The yard looked empty, peaceful even. Like last night had been some kind of fever dream. Except the alpha was still there. He sat on her porch like he belonged there, massive and dark, his silver blue eyes fixed on the door. Waiting. Sarah's hand went to her chest. The crescent mark was still there, more visible now in the daylight. Warm to the touch. A truck engine growled up the road. Marcus's pickup appeared through the trees. He parked and got out, rifle in hand, moving like a man walking toward his own execution. The Alpha watched him approach but didn't move. Sarah opened the door before Marcus could knock. He looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His face was drawn, his eyes bloodshot. You remember what happened? The howling. The chanting. Then nothing. Her throat ached with each word. Where did they go? They're waiting. He stepped inside, keeping his distance from Luna. They got what they needed. Which is what, exactly? Marcus set his rifle against the wall and sat heavily in her chair. For a long moment, he just stared at his hands. Tell me, Sarah said. There's a legend. Old as these mountains, maybe older. The Lupara. He looked up at her. It's not just a story, Sarah. It's a pact. Between humans and wolves. Goes back further than any written history. Sarah's legs felt weak. She sat on the couch. A pact. When a human saves the life of a marked one, a pup chosen by the pack, they become bound. Soul to soul. The human becomes something more than human. The pack becomes something more than pack. He gestured at Luna. She's marked. You saved her. The binding has started. That's insane. You got a better explanation for what happened last night? For that mark on your chest? Sarah touched the crescent again. It pulsed faintly under her fingers, like a second heartbeat. This is superstition. Fear and folklore. There's a rational explanation. Is there? Marcus stood and walked to the window. The Alpha's eyes tracked him. Look at him, Sarah. Really look. You think that's a normal wolf? She didn't. She knew she didn't. But accepting what Marcus was saying meant accepting that her life had just turned into something out of a nightmare. So what happens now? She asked quietly. Marcus turned back to her. His expression was haunted. The binding completes in stages. First the mark. Then the dreams. Then. He pulled down the collar of his flannel shirt. A crescent mark, faded and old, sat just above his collarbone. Sarah's blood went cold. You? 40 years ago. I was young, stupid. Found a pup caught in a trap, freed it before I knew what it was. He let his collar fall back. I was bound just like you. Felt them in my head. Started changing. But you're still human. Because I broke free. His voice went flat. I did something terrible to sever the connection. Something I can never take back. What did you do? He looked away. The only way to break the Lupara is to betray it. To kill one of the marked. His jaw worked. I killed the pup. The one I saved. Shot it in the woods and buried it where no one would find it. Sarah's stomach turned. Marcus. I know what I am. I've lived with it every day since. He met her eyes. But you need to understand what you're facing. This binding, it doesn't let go. It gets in your blood, your bones, your soul. You'll start hearing them. Feeling them. Eventually you won't know where you end and they begin. A scratching sound made them both turn. The Alpha was at the door. Not pawing at it, just standing there. Waiting. Luna whined and paced in tight circles. He wants to come in, Sarah said. She didn't know how she knew. She just did. Don't let him. Marcus's hand went to his rifle. Once he crosses that threshold, there's no going back. But even as he said it, Sarah was moving to the door. Her hand found the knob. Sarah, don't. She opened it. The Alpha walked in like he owned the place. He was even bigger up close, his shoulder would have reached Sarah's hip. He moved past Marcus without a glance and came straight to Sarah. She should have been terrified. Should have run. Instead, she stood very still as he approached. The Alpha stopped in front of her, lifted his massive head, and pressed his forehead against her chest, right over the crescent mark. The world exploded. Images flooded Sarah's mind, not her memories, but someone else's. Someone's. Hunting under a full moon. Running with the pack. The taste of blood and snow. Dying in winter. Being born in spring. Centuries compressed into seconds. She saw through dozens of eyes, felt through dozens of hearts. An unbroken chain of consciousness stretching back into a past she couldn't comprehend. She was the wolf. The wolves were her. Individual and collective all at once. The Alpha pulled back. Sarah gasped, stumbling. Marcus caught her before she fell. "What did you see?" he demanded. "Everything." Her voice shook. "I saw everything. They're not just wolves, Marcus. She couldn't find the words. They remember. They carry the memories of every wolf that came before. Centuries of them. And now they want." She stopped. Marcus's eyes had changed. The brown was bleeding away, replaced by silver blue. "I lied," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I lied about breaking free." "What?" "You never escaped the Lupra." His voice was still his, but there was something else underneath it now. Something ancient. "I didn't kill the pup. I became what I was meant to become." "What you're meant to become." He stepped back from her. "I'm here because they sent me. To prepare you. To help you understand." "No." Sarah backed away. "No, you said. I said what I needed to say so you'd listen. So you wouldn't run like your grandmother did." His face twisted with something that might have been regret. "I'm sorry. But this is bigger than you. Bigger than me." His body began to change. It wasn't like the movies. There was no smooth transformation, no graceful shift. Bones cracked and reformed with sounds that made Sarah's stomach heave. His skin split and knitted back together. He fell to his hands and knees, gasping, as his spine curved and lengthened. Luna watched calmly. The Alpha didn't move. When it was over, Marcus wasn't human anymore. But he wasn't a wolf either. He was something in between, walking on two legs but covered in fur, his face elongated into something almost like a muzzle, hands tipped with claws. His eyes were fully silver blue now, bright and aware. "The change begins at the next full moon," he said, and his voice was rough, layered with growls. "That's tomorrow night. And once it starts, you'll have to choose, complete the transformation and become pack, or resist and lose your humanity in a worse way." "What way?" Sarah whispered. "You'll become what I am. Stuck between. Never human, never wolf. Aware of what you've lost but unable to reclaim it." He looked down at his clawed hands. "Some call it the half-death. You'll live for decades like this, Sarah. Decades of not belonging anywhere. Not fitting with humans or wolves. Unless I accept it. Accept the binding. Then you become something new. Something whole. A bridge between two worlds." He looked at the Alpha. "That's what the Lupra needs. What it's always needed. Someone to carry the memories forward. To protect the pack and keep the balance." Sarah's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Couldn't be real. But the mark on her chest throbbed with heat. Luna watched her with those knowing eyes. And the Alpha. The Alpha tilted his head. And she heard it. Not words. Not sounds. Just a knowing, a certainty that settled into her bones. Choose wisely. Tomorrow the moon rises. And nothing will be the same. The cabin suddenly felt too small, too close. Sarah couldn't breathe. "I need time," she said. "I need to think." "There is no time." Marcus's form was already shifting back, bones cracking again as he returned to something more human. The moon doesn't wait. The pack doesn't wait. Your body has already started changing whether you want it or not. As if to prove his point, Sarah felt it, a warmth spreading through her veins, a restlessness in her muscles, a sharpening of her senses. She could smell Marcus's fierce sweat. Could hear Luna's heartbeat from across the room. Could feel the pack, distant but present, waiting in the woods. The crescent mark flared hot. And Sarah knew, with terrible certainty, that Marcus was right. Tomorrow night, everything will change. The only question was whether she'd fight it or surrender to it. And she had less than 24 hours to decide. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 4. Marcus sat at Sarah's kitchen table, human again but exhausted. His shirt was torn, his hands shaking as he poured himself water from the tap. The Alpha remained by the door, a silent sentinel. Luna had finally settled, curled up near the fireplace. Sarah stood with her back against the wall, arms wrapped around herself. Fear had her in a chokehold, fear of what she'd seen, what she'd felt, what she was becoming. "Talk," she said. Her voice was steadier than she felt. "Tell me everything. No more lies." Marcus drank the water in one long swallow, then turned to face her. "The Lupera isn't a curse, Sarah. It's a responsibility. Has been for as long as wolves and humans have shared this land." Responsibility for what? Protection. Balance. He gestured at the Alpha. Every generation, the pack chooses someone. A guardian. Someone who can carry the collective memory of the pack, centuries of knowledge, wisdom, experience. The guardian lives between both worlds. Human enough to understand your kind. Wolf enough to lead the pack. Lives for how long? Centuries. Marcus's eyes were steady. The last guardian was over 300 years old when she died. She looked 30. Sarah's knees felt weak. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. 300 years. The guardian protects both sides. Keeps wolves from becoming too aggressive toward humans. Keeps humans from destroying wolf territory. Maintains the balance. He paused. And most importantly, the guardian fights the rot. What is the rot? Marcus's face darkened. A corruption. Old as the Lupera itself, maybe older. It infects living things, animals, people, and turns them into something else. Something mindless and violent. They lose everything that made them who they were. All that's left is hunger and rage. The way he said it made Sarah's skin crawl. Like rabies? Worse than rabies. Rabies kills. The rot keeps you alive while it eats away everything that matters. Your memories. Your personality. Your soul. He leaned forward. Without a guardian, the rot spreads unchecked. It always has. That's why the pack needs you. Why me specifically? There are millions of people. Not just anyone can be chosen. It takes isolation, someone removed from society who won't be missed right away. It takes empathy, the ability to bond with the pack. And most importantly, it takes the right bloodline. Sarah's stomach dropped. What? Your grandmother, Marcus said quietly. Eleanor Mitchell. She was chosen 50 years ago. The pack called to her, marked her, started the binding. His voice hardened. And she ran. Fled these mountains and never came back. The pack couldn't force the bond, it has to be accepted. So they waited. Waited for what? For another Mitchell. Someone with Eleanor's blood who might be strong enough to accept what she refused. He looked at Sarah with something like pity. They waited 2 generations. And then you came here. Alone. Isolated. Perfect. Sarah thought of her grandmother, the woman who died when Sarah was 12. Sharp-eyed and silent, always staring at the mountains like they held secrets. She'd lived in Denver her whole life but never seemed comfortable there. Never seemed comfortable anywhere. She knew, Sarah whispered. She knew what she'd done. She spent her whole life running from it. And she made sure your mother stayed far away from these mountains. Marcus stood and moved to the window. But you came back anyway. Like you were called here. Maybe she had been. Sarah had never understood her own compulsion to leave the city, to buy this cabin, to live alone in the wilderness. She'd told herself it was for her photography. For peace. For a fresh start after her divorce. But maybe it had been something deeper. Something in her blood. Luna lifted her head and looked at Sarah. Those silver blue eyes held an intelligence that was impossible to deny. The pup, Sarah said slowly. Luna. She's not just any wolf, is she? No. Marcus turned back to her. She's the reincarnation of the previous guardian. The one who died 3 months ago. Reincarnation. The guardian's consciousness doesn't die. It passes to a new vessel, usually a pup born to the pack around the time of the guardian's death. Luna carries all the memories, all the knowledge of every guardian who came before. He met Sarah's eyes. But she's still just a pup. She can't access those memories yet. Can't lead the pack. Can't fight the rot. Not until she merges with a human host. Me. You. That's what the binding is for. Tomorrow night, under the full moon, your consciousness and Luna's will merge. You'll become one being, human and wolf, past and present. You'll have access to centuries of guardian knowledge. You'll be able to shift between forms. And you'll be able to stop the rot. Sarah's hand went to the crescent mark. It pulsed under her fingers. And if I refuse? Marcus's expression went bleak. Luna will die. Permanently. The guardian line will end. And the rot will consume everything. He pulled his phone from his pocket. It's already starting. He scrolled through photos and held the screen out to her. Sarah took the phone with numb fingers. The first photo showed Main Street in Pinewood, the small town 15 miles south where Sarah bought her groceries. But something was wrong with the people. A woman stood in the middle of the street, her veins visible through her skin, blackened like charcoal. Her eyes were vacant. Empty. The next photo was worse. 2 men fighting outside the hardware store, tearing at each other with bare hands. Their veins were black too. Their faces twisted with mindless rage. When were these taken? Sarah's voice cracked. This morning. Started about 3 days ago with just one person, a tourist passing through. Now it's spreading. Marcus took the phone back. Without a guardian, the rot always spreads. It's patient. Subtle. But once it takes hold. He shook his head. Pinewood has maybe a week before everyone there is infected. Then it'll spread to the next town. And the next. Why hasn't anyone noticed? Why isn't it on the news? It's slow at first. People think it's the flu. Drug use. Violence is explained away until it's too late. He looked at her hard. By the time the authorities figure out something's really wrong, it'll be unstoppable. That's what the guardian prevents. The rot can't spread where a guardian protects. Sarah's mind reeled. This was too much. Too impossible. But the photos were real. The mark on her chest was real. The alpha wolf sitting in her cabin was real. 24 hours, Marcus said. That's how long you have before the full moon. Before the change happens whether you're ready or not. You can accept the binding and become the guardian. Or you can fight it and end up like me, trapped between, useless to everyone. And if I accept? What happens to me? To Sarah Mitchell? You'll still be you. But you'll be more. You'll carry Luna's memories, the pack's memories. You'll see the world through wolf eyes. You'll live for centuries. He paused. You'll never have a normal life again. Sarah closed her eyes. Normal. She'd moved to these mountains to escape normal. To escape a life that had stopped making sense. But this? This was beyond anything she'd imagined. The phone in her pocket buzzed. She pulled it out, frowning. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then she saw the area code. Denver. Her thumb hit the answer button before she could think. Hello? Sarah. The voice was weak. Scared. Familiar in a way that made Sarah's heart stop. Emily? Her sister. Her younger sister who she hadn't spoken to in 2 years. Not since their mother's funeral. Not since the argument that had split them apart. Sarah, something's wrong with me. Emily's voice shook. I don't know what's happening. My veins, they're turning black. I saw a doctor but they don't know what it is. I'm scared. I don't know who else to call. Ice flooded Sarah's veins. Emily, where are you right now? Home. I'm at home. But Sarah, I feel wrong. Like something's inside me. Like I'm not. The line crackled. Emily? Sarah pressed the phone hard against her ear. Emily. Static. Then a sound that might have been breathing. Or growling. Then nothing. The call ended. Sarah stared at the phone, her hands shaking so hard she nearly dropped it. She looked up at Marcus. He was watching her with an expression that was almost gentle. Almost apologetic. The rot doesn't stop at boundaries, he said quietly. It spreads through contact. Through travel. Through people who don't know they're infected until it's too late. He gestured at her phone. Your sister was in Pinewood last week, wasn't she? Driving through on her way to a hiking trip? Sarah's mouth opened. Closed. Emily had mentioned something about that in a text Sarah had ignored. A weekend in the mountains. A campsite near some small town. No, Sarah whispered. The rot is already in Denver. In your sister. And it's spreading. Marcus stood. You have 24 hours to become the guardian. Or Emily and everyone else infected will be lost forever. The Alpha rose to his feet. Luna stood as well, both of them watching Sarah with those impossible silver blue eyes. Outside, the sun was setting. Tomorrow night, the moon would rise full and bright. And Sarah would have to choose. Save herself or save her sister. Save her humanity or save the world. Both choices meant losing everything she'd ever been. And there was no time left to run. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 5. Sarah sat on the floor, phone still clutched in her hand, and felt everything inside her break. She couldn't do this. Couldn't become some immortal creature, couldn't give up her humanity, couldn't let wolves live inside her head for centuries. It was too much. Too impossible. But Emily. Emily with blackened veins and terror in her voice. Emily who used to climb into Sarah's bed during thunderstorms when they were kids. Who'd called Sarah her hero when Sarah scared off the neighborhood bully. Who'd stopped speaking to her after one stupid argument at their mother's funeral. Sarah's breath came in ragged gasps. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. I can't, she whispered. I can't do this. Marcus crouched in front of her, his voice surprisingly gentle. Yes, you can. You're stronger than your grandmother. Stronger than you know. You don't understand. If I do this, Sarah Mitchell stops existing. Everything I am, everything I could be, gone. Not gone. Changed. He sat back on his heels. The ritual happens tomorrow night at the Heart Grove. It's a sacred place deep in Pack territory. During the full moon, you'll drink from the sacred spring. Luna's consciousness will merge with yours. You'll become the guardian. And then what? I turn into a wolf? You'll be able to shift when needed. A guardian form, bigger than any normal wolf, with your human mind intact. Most of the time you'll look human. Live human. But you'll carry the pack's memories. Their wisdom. Their purpose. He paused. The process is painful. I won't lie about that. It feels like dying because in a way, you are. The person you were burns away. What's left is something new. Sarah's hands shook. How many people survive it? Marcus hesitated. 1 in 3. The number hit her like a fist. 1 in 3. The shock is too much for some. Their minds can't handle the merge. They die before it completes. So I have a 67% chance of dying anyway. And if I survive, I'm not me anymore. Sarah laughed, but it came out bitter. Great options. Your sister doesn't have any options at all. The words cut through Sarah's panic. She looked up at Marcus. I need to see her. Before I decide anything, I need to see Emily. Sarah. Now. I need to see her now. Marcus studied her face for a long moment, then nodded. Get your coat. The drive to Denver took 2 hours. Marcus drove while Sarah sat rigid in the passenger seat, Luna curled in her lap. The alpha had disappeared back into the woods, but Sarah could feel him, a presence at the edge of her awareness. Watching. Waiting. Emily's apartment was in a converted warehouse in Lodo. Sarah had been there once, right after Emily moved in. They'd argued then too. About their mother's estate. About old wounds neither could let heal. Now Sarah stood outside the door, fear choking her. Let me go first, Marcus said. He had his rifle again, loaded with tranquilizer darts this time. Sarah shook her head. She's my sister. She knocked. Emily? It's Sarah. Open up. Silence. Sarah tried the handle. Unlocked. Her stomach dropped. The apartment was dark, curtains drawn. It smelled wrong, like meat gone bad, like something wild had been living here. Sarah's enhanced senses picked up every detail. Blood. Sweat. Fear. Emily? A sound came from the bedroom. Scratching. Like claws on wood. Marcus raised the rifle. Sarah pushed past him. Emily crouched in the corner of her bedroom, surrounded by shredded sheets. Her blonde hair hung in matted tangles. The veins in her arms and neck stood out black against pale skin. When she looked up, her eyes were empty. Vacant. In her hands, she held raw meat, looked like steak from the grocery store. She was eating it, tearing at it with her teeth. Oh God, Sarah breathed. Emily's head snapped toward her. For a moment, nothing. Then recognition flickered in those dead eyes. Sarah? Her voice was wrong. Rough. Sarah, run. I can't, I don't. Her face twisted. The recognition vanished. She snarled and launched herself at Sarah. Sarah barely had time to raise her arms before Emily hit her. Her sister was strong, inhumanly strong. They crashed into the wall, Emily's fingers like claws, her teeth snapping inches from Sarah's throat. The dart hit Emily in the shoulder. She convulsed once and collapsed. Sarah caught her before she hit the floor. Her sister's skin was burning up. The black veins pulsed with something that looked alive. Help me get her to the truck, Marcus said. They carried Emily down 3 flights of stairs. Luna stayed close, whining softly. A few neighbors peeked out but didn't interfere. This was Denver, people minded their business. Marcus drove to a clinic on the outskirts of the city. No sign out front. Just an unmarked door. A woman met them inside, 50-ish, with sharp eyes and steady hands. She wore a doctor's coat, but when she turned, Sarah saw it. The crescent mark on her neck. Pack? Sarah asked. Former Guardian candidate, the doctor said. Didn't complete the merge, but I kept enough to be useful. Get her on the table. They laid Emily down. The doctor examined her quickly, professionally. Checked her eyes, her pulse, took a blood sample. When she looked at the blood under a microscope, her expression went grim. Stage 2 rot, she said. Maybe 48 hours before it's irreversible. After that, there's no bringing her back. Can you slow it down? Sarah demanded. I can try. But without a guardian to draw the corruption out. She shook her head. She needs you to accept the binding. That's the only cure. Sarah looked at her sister's unconscious face. Emily looked young like this. Vulnerable. Like she had when they were kids. We need to go, Marcus said quietly. Now. They made it 2 blocks before the infected appeared. They came from alleys, from doorways, from parked cars. People with blackened veins and empty eyes. Moving together like a pack. At least 20 of them. Drive. Sarah shouted. Marcus floored it. The truck fishtailed, then shot forward. The infected gave chase, and they were fast. Too fast. Running at speeds that should have been impossible. One leaped onto the hood. Marcus swerved hard. The man tumbled off, rolled, and kept coming. They're everywhere, Marcus said through gritted teeth. The city streets were filling with infected. The rot spreading faster than I thought. He yanked the wheel and drove onto the sidewalk, then crashed through a decorative barrier and onto an access road. The truck bounced wildly. Behind them, the infected followed, relentless. Marcus headed for the mountains. The road turned to gravel, then dirt. The truck's engine screamed. An infected woman landed on the roof. Her fists pounded the metal. Sarah looked up and saw her face pressed against the rear window, veins black, eyes dead, mouth open in a silent scream. Then wolves poured out of the forest. Dozens of them, moving like liquid shadow. They hit the infected in a wave of fur and fangs. The woman on the roof was dragged off. The ones chasing the truck were brought down, held, driven back. The Alpha appeared beside the driver's window, running pace with the truck. He looked at Marcus and somehow Marcus understood. He turned hard left, off the road entirely, into the forest. The truck bounced over roots and rocks. Branches scraped the sides. But the wolves created a corridor, fighting off infected, clearing a path. Finally, Marcus stopped. They were deep in the woods now. No infected in sight. Just wolves, forming a protective circle around the truck. Sarah's heart hammered. Luna pressed against her leg, solid and real. We're safe, Marcus said. For now. They made it back to the cabin as the sun set. Sarah felt wrung out. Exhausted. Emily's vacant eyes haunted her. The infected chasing them haunted her. Everything haunted her. Marcus made coffee neither of them drank. Luna sat at Sarah's feet. The Alpha appeared on the porch again, keeping watch. I need to tell you something, Marcus said finally. His voice was heavy. About the survival rate. Sarah looked at him. I lied. He couldn't meet her eyes. No one survives the bonding. Not the human, anyway. You'll die tomorrow night, Sarah. Your body, your consciousness, it'll all burn away. What's left will be Luna with your memories, your experiences. Something new. But Sarah Mitchell? He shook his head. She'll be gone. The words should have devastated her. Should have made her run. Instead, Sarah felt strangely calm. The wolves need you to sacrifice everything, Marcus continued. I'm sorry. I should have told you from the start. But they needed someone to accept the burden. And you're the only one who can. Sarah stood and walked to the window. Outside, darkness was falling. Tomorrow the moon would rise. She thought about Emily's blackened veins. The infected chasing them through Denver. The doctor's grim prognosis. 48 hours. She thought about her grandmother, running from this choice. Spending her whole life afraid. Sarah had run too. From her marriage. From her career. From anything that asked too much of her. She'd come to these mountains to hide. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. A small weight pressed against her leg. Sarah looked down. Luna sat there, one paw on Sarah's knee. Those silver blue eyes looked up at her, and Sarah heard it. Not with her ears. With something deeper. A voice. Gentle. Feminine. Ancient. He's wrong. Sarah's breath caught. You won't die. We'll become we. Two consciousnesses, one being. You'll still be Sarah. I'll still be Luna. But we'll be more. Together. Luna? Sarah whispered. The binding isn't death. It's transformation. It's partnership. I've waited 3 months for you, Sarah Mitchell. I've been alone in this small body, cut off from my memories, incomplete. A pause. I need you. And you need me. To save your sister. To stop the rot. To become what you were always meant to be. Sarah's hand went to the crescent mark. It burned warm. But you must choose now, Luna's voice said. Your sister doesn't have 48 hours. The doctor was being kind. She has 12. Maybe less. Choose now, Sarah. Choose us. Sarah looked at Marcus. At the wolves outside. At the mark on her chest. She thought of Emily, dying alone. Of the infected spreading through the city. Of her grandmother's fear and her own. Tomorrow the moon would rise. And Sarah Mitchell would make her choice. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 6. Sarah stood in the cabin at dawn, watching the last stars fade. She hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep. In a few hours, Sarah Mitchell would cease to exist. Or transform into something new. Luna sat beside her, silent and patient. Outside, wolves waited in the shadows. I'll do it, Sarah said. Her voice didn't shake. Not for the pack. Not for some ancient responsibility. For Emily. Only for Emily. Marcus nodded slowly. That's reason enough. When? Moonrise. We leave now. The Heart Grove is 3 hours into the territory. Sarah grabbed her jacket. Took one last look at her cabin, her life, everything she was leaving behind. Then she walked out the door. They traveled on foot. Marcus led the way through trails Sarah had never seen. Luna trotted beside her. The Alpha appeared and disappeared like smoke, always circling, always watching. More wolves joined them as they went deeper, 10, 20, 50. All silent. All moving with purpose. The forest grew older the farther they went. Trees Sarah couldn't name, thick as houses, their bark covered in symbols she almost recognized. The air felt different here. Charged. Sacred. After 3 hours, Marcus stopped. The Heart Grove, he said. They stood at the edge of a clearing. Ancient trees spiraled around it in a pattern that hurt to look at, geometry that shouldn't exist in nature. In the center sat a pool of water that glowed with soft silver light, like captured moonlight. The wolves filed into the clearing, forming perfect concentric circles around the spring. Sarah counted. 100 exactly. All sitting. All watching. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Last chance to walk away, Marcus said quietly. Sarah looked at him. Emily has 12 hours. Less now. Then let's do this. Marcus moved to the spring's edge. The Alpha emerged from the pack and approached Sarah. Luna did the same. Both stopped in front of her and lowered their heads in what could only be a bow. Sarah's throat tightened. She bowed back, feeling foolish and terrified and strangely honored. Marcus began to chant. The words were old, older than English, older than any language Sarah knew. They resonated in her chest, made her bones vibrate. One by one, the wolves joined in. Their voices rose in harmony, 100 throats singing in perfect unison. The spring's glow intensified. "Drink," Marcus said, his voice carrying over the chanting. "Drink and accept the bond." Sarah knelt at the water's edge. Her reflection looked back at her, brown hair tangled from the hike, green eyes wide with fear, the crescent mark visible at her collarbone. This was the last time she'd see this face. This Sarah. She cupped her hands and drank. The water burned. Fire and ice at once, searing down her throat, into her chest, spreading through her veins like liquid lightning. Sarah gasped. Tried to pull back. Couldn't move. Her consciousness exploded outward. Suddenly she was everywhere. Everyone. She felt 100 heartbeats as if they were her own. Saw through 100 pairs of eyes. Experienced 100 lifetimes in the space of a breath. Running through snow, blood hot in her mouth. Hunting elk in summer twilight. Dying in winter, old and content, surrounded by pack. Being born in spring, blind and helpless, the smell of milk and warmth. The memories cascaded through her, centuries of them. Guardians past, their lives and deaths. The first guardian, made before humans built cities, when the world was wild and clean. She felt their joy, their pain, their endless vigilance against the spreading darkness. The rot. Always there. Always waiting. Sarah screamed. Luna approached through the chaos. The pup's small form seemed to expand, to contain multitudes. She pressed her forehead against Sarah's. The merge began. Pain exploded through every nerve. Sarah's body convulsed. She felt her bones crack, not breaking but reforming, reshaping. Her spine curved. Her skull elongated. Her skin rippled like water, fur pushing through in silver waves. She saw through Luna's eyes while still seeing through her own, double vision, triple vision, 1,000 perspectives collapsing into one. She was Sarah and Luna and every guardian before them. She was human and wolf and something neither and both. The pain was beyond description. Beyond endurance. Sarah opened her mouth to scream and it came out as a howl, raw and primal and full of anguish. Her human body collapsed. Something else rose. A wolf. Massive, twice the size of the alpha, with fur that shimmered silver in the grove's light. Silver blue eyes blazed with terrible awareness. The crescent mark on her chest glowed bright enough to cast shadows. Sarah stood on 4 legs. Felt the earth beneath her paws. Smelled everything, Marcus's fierce wet, the pack's anticipation, the spring's ancient power. She tried to think, to understand what she'd become. But something was wrong. She could feel Sarah's human thoughts, sharp and analytical. But she could also feel Luna's wolf instincts, pure and primal. They warred inside her, pulling in opposite directions. Not merged. Not unified. Divided. She was too much of both and not enough of either. Marcus stared at her, his face white. This has never happened before. You should be one. Not. The spring's light flickered. Went dark. The water turned black, thick as oil. The chanting stopped. The wolves rose to their feet, hackles raised, growling. Something emerged from the spring. It pulled itself up from the water with arms that were too long, too thin. Its body was humanoid but wrong, proportions that made Sarah's eyes hurt, skin covered in corruption that pulsed like a living thing. Black veins spread across its form like cracks in porcelain. When it spoke, its voice was 1,000 whispers layered over each other. A guardian divided is a guardian compromised. The thing smiled. Its teeth were black. The rot thanks you for opening the door. Horror crashed through Sarah's fractured consciousness. This was the source. The original infection. The thing Guardians had kept locked away for centuries. And her incomplete transformation had broken the seal. Marcus raised his rifle. No. No, this isn't possible. The ritual should have. The creature laughed. Should have bound you completely. Should have made you whole. But you fought it, didn't you, Sarah Mitchell? Held too tight to your humanity. Refused the full surrender. It was right. Sarah had held back. Some part of her had resisted the complete merge, afraid of losing herself entirely. And now. The creature lunged. It moved impossibly fast. Sarah tried to dodge, but her new body didn't respond right. Wolf instinct said one thing, human thoughts commanded another. The Alpha and his pack attacked. 50 wolves hit the creature from all sides. They passed right through it. The creature solidified only long enough to swipe at them, sending 3 wolves flying. They hit the ground hard and didn't get up. Only the Guardian can fight it. Marcus screamed. But you're not complete. You're not. The creature turned its attention to Sarah. It moved toward her, spreading corruption with each step. The grass beneath its feet blackened and died. Come, broken Guardian. Let me finish what you started. Sarah's mind fractured further. Her human thoughts screamed to run, to escape. Her wolf instincts demanded she fight, protect the pack. She couldn't do both. Couldn't do either. She was paralyzed by her own division. The creature reached for her with those 2 long arms. Luna's voice cut through the chaos, not the gentle voice from before, but commanding, ancient, desperate. Stop fighting yourself. We are one. Accept it or we all die. But Sarah couldn't. The human part of her clung to identity, to self, even as it destroyed her. The wolf part raged against human weakness. They tore at each other inside her skull. The creature's hand closed around Sarah's throat. Where it touched, her fur blackened. Pain seared through her. Goodbye, Guardian, it whispered. Hello, rot. The corruption spread up Sarah's neck. Into her jaw. Toward her eyes. She could feel it worming into her mind, eating away at thought, at memory, at everything that made her her. Both versions of her. Marcus was shouting. The wolves were howling. The Alpha tried to attack again and again, passing through the creature harmlessly each time. Sarah's vision went dark at the edges. Not like this, she thought. Not without saving Emily. Not without. Luna's presence surged inside her. Not gentle now. Fierce. Demanding. Choose. Human or wolf, choose one or lose both. Choose. The corruption reached Sarah's eyes. The world started to fade. And somewhere in the dying darkness, Sarah Mitchell made her final choice. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 7. Sarah was drowning in darkness. The corruption spread through her like poison, eating away at thought, at memory, at self. She felt herself fragmenting, Sarah the human, Luna the wolf, both dissolving into the black tide. The rot entity's grip tightened around her throat. Its voice was 1,000 whispers. Do you understand now, broken Guardian? You aren't just protectors. You're seals. Living locks keeping me imprisoned in the spiritual realm. Its black teeth gleamed. For centuries, Guardians have bound me. Contained me. Made me weak. Sarah's vision blurred. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. But when the last Guardian died 3 months ago, the seal cracked. And when you failed to complete the merge, it laughed. You shattered it completely. Now I can manifest. Now I can spread. Now I can finally consume this world the way I've hungered to for millennia. The creature released her and Sarah collapsed. Around the grove, wolves whimpered. The alpha circled helplessly, unable to touch the thing that was killing their guardian. The rot entity raised its arms. Black tendrils shot out from its body, striking wolves at random. The first wolf screamed, a sound no animal should make. Its fur blackened. Its eyes went vacant. When it stood again, corruption pulsed through its veins. No, Sarah tried to say, but her voice was gone. Another wolf. Another. The entity moved through the pack like a plague, touching, corrupting, transforming. The infected wolves turned on their own, attacking with mindless fury. Marcus shifted. His body cracked and reformed into that horrible half-state, not human, not wolf. He threw himself at the creature, claws extended. The entity backhanded him casually. Marcus flew 20 feet and hit a tree with a sickening crunch. He slumped to the ground and didn't move. Sarah lay paralyzed, watching her pack destroy itself. Watching everything fail. Get up. Luna's voice, distant but determined. Get up, Sarah. We're not done. I can't, Sarah thought. I'm not whole. I'm broken. Only because you're still choosing. Still holding back. Still afraid. Luna's presence surged closer. Let go. Trust me. Trust us. If I let go, Sarah Mitchell dies. Sarah Mitchell died the moment you drank from the spring. Luna's voice was gentle now. Sad. You've been clinging to a ghost. To someone who already made her choice. She chose to save her sister. She chose to become something new. I don't know how to be something new. Then stop trying to know. Just be. Sarah felt it then, the last thread of her human identity, the final piece she'd been clutching. Her name. Her history. Her fear of losing herself. She let it go. The merge completed in a rush. Sarah and Luna collapsed into each other, no longer two consciousnesses fighting for control but one being with two perspectives. Human thought and wolf instinct flowed together like water finding its level. Memory upon memory, lifetime upon lifetime, all integrating into a seamless whole. Sarah was still Sarah. But she was also Luna. And she was every guardian who had come before. She was whole. Power flooded through her. The corruption on her neck burned away. She rose to her feet, her 4 feet, and the world snapped into sharp focus. The rot entity turned toward her. For the first time, she saw uncertainty in its movements. Impossible, it whispered. You were divided. Broken. Sarah's lips pulled back from her teeth. When she spoke, her voice was layered, human and wolf together. I was learning. Her form shifted. Not to human. Not staying wolf. Something between and beyond both. Her body flowed like liquid, bones and muscle reorganizing. She stood on 2 legs but kept her wolf strength, her enhanced senses, her connection to the pack. Fur receded but didn't disappear. Hands formed but kept their claws. She was guardian. True guardian. Perfect balance. The entity lunged. Sarah met it head-on. This time when she struck, her claws connected. The creature shrieked as she tore through its corrupted form. Black ichor sprayed across the grove. You can touch me, it hissed. But can you stop me? It was right. Even wounded, the entity was strong. It fed on the corrupted wolves, on the infected spreading through Denver, on centuries of accumulated darkness. Every strike Sarah landed, it absorbed and regenerated. They fought through the heart grove and into the forest beyond. Sarah's new form moved with fluid grace, running on 2 legs, dropping to 4 when needed, shifting between states as naturally as breathing. She was faster than the creature, stronger, but it didn't tire. Didn't slow. A corrupted wolf attacked from her blind side. Sarah caught it gently, felt the rot pulsing through its body. She placed her hand on its chest and pushed her guardian energy into it. The corruption burned away. The wolf collapsed, unconscious but clean. "Stop fighting yourself," she said to the creature as she dodged another strike. "We are one. Accept it." "Wait." Those were Luna's words to her. Understanding bloomed. She couldn't win by fighting. The rot fed on violence, on destruction, on death. Fighting only made it stronger. She had to reseal it. Sarah shifted fully human for a moment, using her hands to weave patterns in the air, patterns she remembered from guardian memories stretching back millennia. Binding patterns. Sealing patterns. The creature laughed. "You think you can trap me again? The seal requires an anchor. A sacrifice. A life force permanently bound to maintain it." Its eyes gleamed. "Are you willing to die, little guardian? To spend eternity as a living lock?" Before Sarah could answer, Marcus staggered forward. Blood ran down his face. His half-form was broken, failing, but he moved with purpose. "I'll do it," he said. His voice was thick with pain. "I'll be the anchor." "Marcus, no. Listen to me." He grabbed her arm with a clawed hand. "I was guardian once. 200 years ago. Before the one Luna carries memories of. Before anyone's still alive." Sarah stared at him. "What?" "I failed." The words came hard. "Let fear control me when the rot tried to break free. Couldn't make the hard choices. Couldn't sacrifice what needed sacrificing." His eyes, still silver blue beneath the blood, met hers. "The pack stripped my guardian powers but couldn't let me die. Punishment, they said. So I've been trapped like this for 2 centuries. Never aging. Never dying. Never belonging." Tears ran down his half-human face. "Let me finally rest. Let me finally do what I should have done 200 years ago." He looked at the rot entity. "Let me be useful. Marcus. I've lived long enough, Sarah. Too long. This is my redemption." The moment hung suspended. Sarah felt the weight of his 2 centuries, his loneliness, his desperate need for peace. She knew what he was offering. What it would cost. She started to nod. A scream cut through the grove. Human. Female. Familiar. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Emily stumbled into the clearing at the head of a crowd of infected. 20, 30 people with blackened veins and vacant eyes. But Emily was at the front. Emily was leading them. Her sister's beautiful face was a mask of corruption. Black veins covered her skin like spiderwebs. Her eyes were empty pits. She moved with jerky, inhuman grace. And she was looking straight at Sarah. The rot entity laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your sister's soul is mine now. Has been since the moment you left Denver. The infection completed while you were playing at Transformation." It gestured at Emily. "Kill her, guardian. Fulfill your duty and protect the innocent." Emily charged, the infected horde behind her. "Or watch her kill everyone you've sworn to protect," the entity continued. "Watch her spread corruption to every wolf in this grove. Watch her destroy everything. All because you chose to save her instead of stopping me." Sarah stood frozen. Emily was 20 feet away. 15. 10. Behind her sister, the infected townspeople surged forward. The corrupted wolves rose to join them. Dozens of bodies, all infected, all mindless, all converging on the Heart Grove. Marcus struggled to his feet. "Sarah, you have to. Don't." Sarah's voice was steel. "Don't tell me to kill my sister." "Then what?" Emily reached her. Lunged with hands like claws, mouth open in a silent scream. Sarah caught her. Held her. Looked into those empty eyes and felt her heart break. "I'm sorry, Em," she whispered. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there. That I let us drift apart. That I failed you. Emily's teeth snapped inches from Sarah's throat. The rot entity smiled. How touching. Now she'll tear you apart while I consume everything you love. The infected closed in from all sides. Marcus raised his claws, ready to fight and die. The Alpha and his remaining pack formed a defensive circle, outnumbered 10-1. And Sarah held her corrupted sister, refusing to let go, refusing to kill, refusing to give in. Think, Luna's voice said inside her. You're guardian now. You carry centuries of knowledge. There has to be another way. Sarah's mind raced through guardian memories. Battles. Seals. Sacrifices. And then she saw it. The answer. Terrible and beautiful and impossible. Marcus, she said quietly. You're right. The seal needs an anchor. A life force. Then let me. But it doesn't have to be just one. Sarah looked at Emily. At the infected. At the corrupted wolves. At everything the rot had touched. What if we use them all? The rot entity's smile faltered. And Sarah Mitchell began to weave the most complex binding pattern any guardian had ever attempted. Chapter 8. Sarah held her sister as the infected closed in. Emily thrashed in her arms, mindless and violent, but Sarah wouldn't let go. Couldn't. Around them, the battle raged. The Alpha and his wolves fought desperately against overwhelming numbers. Marcus, broken and bleeding, still swung his claws. They were losing. There has to be another way, Sarah whispered. Luna's presence surged inside her. There is. But it requires going where no guardian has gone before. Show me. Into her mind. Into the corruption itself. Sarah looked at Emily's vacant eyes. Will I come back? I don't know. Sarah closed her eyes and dove. The world inverted. Suddenly she was inside Emily's consciousness, or what remained of it. Darkness everywhere. Thick, oily, alive. The corruption had consumed almost everything, turning Emily's mind into a twisted maze of shadow. But somewhere in the depths, Sarah felt it. A spark. Small and fading, but still there. Still Emily. Sarah pushed deeper. The darkness fought her, tried to drag her down. She saw memories warping around her, their childhood home collapsing into rot, their mother's face melting into corruption, every happy moment turned nightmare. Emily. Sarah called. I know you're in here. A whisper, barely audible, Sarah? Sarah followed the voice. Deeper. Deeper. The darkness became physical, pressing against her, suffocating her. She felt the rot trying to infect her guardian essence, corrupt her from within. Then she found her. Emily huddled in a tiny pocket of light, arms wrapped around her knees. She looked young. Terrified. The darkness pressed against her protective bubble, cracking it like glass. Sarah? Emily's voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was angry. Sorry I said those things at Mom's funeral. I miss her. And I miss you. And I'm so scared. Sarah reached for her sister. The moment she touched the bubble, the rot entity materialized. It towered over them, massive in this mental space. You can't save her. She's mine. Her soul, her memories, her very essence, all mine. She's my sister. She's corruption incarnate. The entity smiled. Did you never wonder why she infected so quickly? Why the rot took her in hours when it takes others days? Sarah's blood chilled. What are you talking about? Your bloodline. The entity circled them. Your grandmother, Eleanor Mitchell. She didn't run from the pack out of fear. She tried to destroy them. Made a bargain with me, power in exchange for breaking the guardian line forever. Sarah's mind reeled. No. She drank from corrupted water. Let me into her blood. Became my vessel. The entity's eyes gleamed. She failed to destroy the pack, but the corruption remained in her DNA. Pass to your mother. To you. To Emily. Emily whimpered. It's in us? We're infected? Not infected. Susceptible. The entity leaned close. The Mitchell blood carries my mark. That's why Sarah could become guardian, because she carries both guardian potential and rot susceptibility. Light and dark. Balance. It laughed. But Emily only got the dark. She was mine the moment the infection touched her. Sarah felt the truth of it. Felt the corruption in her own blood, held at bay by the guardian essence but still there. Still waiting. You were chosen not just to be guardian, the entity continued. But to finally cleanse your poisoned bloodline. And you can't. To save Emily, you'd have to absorb all this corruption. It would destroy your guardian essence. You'd become what your grandmother became, my vessel. Sarah looked at Emily's terrified face. At the darkness closing in. At the impossible choice. Kill her sister or damn the world. Luna's voice cut through the despair. There's a third option. But Sarah, it will cost us everything. Tell me. Split the guardian essence. Give Emily half. Give her half of me. The pure guardian energy will burn the rot from her blood permanently. And what happens to us? We'll never be complete guardians again. Split essence means split power. We'll be weaker. Half of what we should be. Sarah didn't hesitate. Do it. She reached deep inside herself, found the blazing core of guardian power, and tore it in half. The pain was exquisite. Like ripping out her own heart. She screamed and Emily screamed with her. Luna's consciousness divided, fracturing into two pieces that should have destroyed them both. Sarah held one half. Held the other out to Emily. Take it, she gasped. Become what I am. Fight with me. Emily's hand, shaking, reached through the darkness. Their fingers touched. Light exploded through the mental space. Pure guardian essence, burning and bright, flooded into Emily. The corruption in her blood ignited. For a terrible moment, Emily was both, dark and light warring in the same body. Then the light won. The rot burned away. Emily's mind cleared, memories restored, consciousness whole. The crescent mark appeared on her chest, glowing silver. The entity roared. No. She was mine. She's my sister, Sarah said. Her voice was weaker now, diminished. But certain. And she's guardian too. Their consciousnesses snapped back to their bodies. Sarah and Emily stood together in the heart grove, both carrying crescent marks, both blazing with silver light. Weaker than one complete guardian. But together they were something new. The infected paused. Confused. The corrupted wolves whined. Marcus. Sarah called. Now. Marcus understood. He staggered forward, his broken body straightening with purpose. 200 years, he said. 200 years of waiting. Thank you for letting me finally be useful. He began to glow. Not with corruption but with something purer. His guardian power, dormant for centuries but never gone, surged to the surface one final time. Sarah and Emily joined hands. Luna's divided consciousness flowed between them, linking them, making them one despite being two. They wove the binding pattern together, their movements perfectly synchronized. Marcus walked to the spring and stepped in. His body dissolved into pure energy, silver and bright and achingly beautiful. Finally, he whispered. Finally, I can rest. His essence spread through the water, into the earth, becoming the anchor. The foundation for a new seal. Sarah and Emily directed their combined power into the pattern. The seal materialized, stronger than before because it was built on 3 souls instead of 1. Marcus as anchor. Sarah and Emily as living locks, each maintaining half the seal. The rot entity shrieked as the pattern closed around it. No. You can't. I am eternal. I am. Sealed, Emily said, her voice layered with Luna's consciousness just like Sarah's. The entity was dragged backward, pulled into the spiritual realm. It clawed at the ground, at reality itself, but the seal held. Marcus's sacrifice held it firm. With a final scream, the rot entity vanished. The spring ran clear. The infected collapsed. All of them, townspeople, wolves, dropping unconscious but breathing. The corruption in their veins began to fade, cleansed by the seal's power. Sarah and Emily fell to their knees, exhausted beyond measure. The Alpha approached slowly. He looked at them both, seemed to understand what had happened, and bowed his massive head. The pack followed suit. 2 guardians. Half power each. But enough. 3 days later, Sarah stood at her cabin door watching the sun set. Emily was back in Denver, back in her apartment. But the crescent mark on her chest remained. So did half of Luna's consciousness. They could feel each other across the distance, a constant connection, thoughts and emotions flowing between them. Day Guardian and Night Guardian, Emily had said before she left. I'll watch the cities. You watch the wild places. It wasn't traditional. But nothing about them was. Sarah's phone buzzed. Emily's number. Felt something weird downtown, her sister's voice said. The mark is tingling. Sarah smiled. She could feel it too, a disturbance. Small. Manageable. I'll be there in an hour. The hunt continues? Always. Sarah hung up and stepped off the porch. 50 wolves materialized from the forest, her pack now. Her family. The Alpha watched her with those silver blue eyes and something that might have been approval. She shifted. Not fully wolf. Not fully human. Something beautifully in between, the form that felt most natural now. Balanced. Whole despite being half. Luna's voice echoed in her mind, and in Emily's mind 50 miles away. We are whole. We are guardian. We are pack. Sarah ran. The wolves followed. Together they raced through the forest toward Denver, toward whatever corruption was trying to take root, toward their purpose. Behind them, the Heart Grove sat peaceful in the twilight. The spring ran crystal clear, Marcus's presence a gentle warmth in the water. The seal held strong. But in one small corner of the spring, where shadows gathered deepest, a single drop of black appeared. It spread slowly across the surface. Then stopped. Then receded, pulled back by the seal's power. A whisper drifted on the wind, so faint it might have been imagination. Not defeated. Only delayed. Guardians die. The rod is eternal. The spring surface froze over, locking the darkness below. Snow began to fall, covering the grove in white. The seal would hold. For now. For as long as guardians remained to maintain it. Sarah felt the whisper in her bones but didn't slow. Emily felt it too and kept her vigil. They were ready. They would always be ready. Because that was what guardians did. They stood between the darkness and the light. Forever vigilant. Forever watching. Forever protecting the balance, no matter the cost. The hunt continued. And somewhere deep in the spiritual realm, trapped but not destroyed, the rot waited. Patient. Eternal. Hungry. I know you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Drop your thoughts in the comments section below and share this video to family and friends. END.